My name is Kong, and I am an old woman of the Juhuansi, one of the San peoples who walk the red sands of the Kalahari. I've seen many seasons, many hunts, and many stories unfold under these wide, star-heavy skies. But there's one story I carry like a smooth stone in my heart about a hunter named Cow and the arrow that changed him. I was there, watching from the shade of my grass hut, listening to the whispers of the wind and the people. Let me tell you how it happened. As true as the tracks of an oryx in the dust. Our village, nestled between quiver trees and rocky outcrops, was called Tsumkwe. It wasn't large, just a cluster of low huts woven from grass and branches, circled around a fire pit where we shared stories and roasted tsama melons. The Kalahari stretched around us, vast and unforgiving, with its thorny bushes and hidden waterholes. We lived by the land's rhythm, hunting kudu and springbok, gathering mongongo nuts, and honoring the spirits that guarded the hills. But Cow, a young hunter with sharp eyes and a restless heart, had strayed from that rhythm. Cow was the son of old Sam, our best tracker, until his legs grew weak. As a boy, Cow learned to read the land, how a broken twig meant a gemsbok passed, how a faint scrape in the sand showed a snake's path. But he was proud, too proud. He wanted to be known as the greatest hunter, not just in Sumkwe, but in all the Kalahari. 4 dry seasons ago, when I still walked without a stick, having a cow did something forbidden. He hunted on the sacred lands of Gao, a rocky hill where our ancestor spirits rest, marked by paintings of eland and hunters on its caves. No one hunts there, for the animals are under the spirit's protection. But Cow, eager for glory, tracked a massive kudu bull to Gao and killed it, dragging its hide back to Tsumkwe to boast. The elders, led by N.I., our healer, were furious. You've angered the spirits, N.I. said, her voice like dry leaves. The land will turn against you. Cow laughed, tossing his bow aside. The spirits don't eat kudu. I do. After that, Cow's hunts failed. His arrows, once true, missed their marks. Springbok bounded away unharmed, and even fat porcupines escaped his snares. The village whispered that the spirits had cursed him, but as Cow blamed bad luck, he hunted harder, ranging farther, returning with empty hands and a scowl. His wife, Kwe, and their 2 small sons grew thin, their mongongo stores dwindling. I saw the worry in Kwe's eyes when she pounded roots by the fire, her hands trembling. The village shared what we could: nuts, berries, a strip of dried meat, but we all felt the strain of the dry season. One morning, as the sun painted the sky pink, Cow returned from a hunt looking shaken. I was sitting outside my hut, weaving a net from grass, when he stumbled into the village, his quiver slung low. He didn't greet anyone, just sat under a shepherd's tree, staring at the ground. His friend Wee, a quiet man who made the best poison for arrow tips, approached him. "What's wrong, brother?" Wee asked. Cow held up an arrowhead, its bone tip etched with spiral lines and a small eland figure, marks we only see in the sacred caves. "I found this near my camp last night," he said, his voice low. "It wasn't mine. It was just there, in the sand, like it was waiting." His eyes widened. "That's no ordinary arrowhead. It's from Gao. The spirits are speaking." Word spread fast, like fire, through dry grass. By midday, the village gathered around the fire pit, murmuring. N.I., her face lined like cracked earth, took the arrowhead and held it to the light. "This is a warning," she said. "The spirits of Gao are restless because you took what was theirs. Cow, you must return this arrowhead to the sacred hill and make amends. Cow's jaw tightened. I'm no child to be scared by stories, he snapped. I'll hunt again tomorrow. But I saw fear in his eyes, a flicker he couldn't hide. That night, as the village slept, I heard Cow pacing outside his hut. The stars were bright, and the air smelled of dust and distant rain. I crept closer, my old bones creaking, and saw him kneeling by his fire, whispering to himself, Why me? I only wanted to feed my family. He clutched the arrowhead, his knuckles pale. I wanted to speak, to tell him the land forgives those who listen, but I stayed silent. Some lessons must be walked alone. The next day, Cow's hunt failed again. He returned with a torn sandal and a story of a kudu that vanished into thin air as if the earth swallowed it. His sons, Now and Gami, ran to him, hoping for meat, but he pushed them away, muttering. Kwe sat quietly, her eyes on the horizon. I felt her pain, the weight of a husband who wouldn't bend. That evening, Am and I called Cow to a hut. I lingered nearby, pretending to mend my net. The arrowhead is your path, and I said, Take it to Gao, find the cave of the Elan painting, offer it back with words of respect. Only then will the spirits release you. Cow was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, What if they don't forgive me? N.A.'s voice softened. The spirits see your heart, not just your deeds. Cow left at dawn, carrying only his bow, a water gourd, and the arrowhead wrapped in a scrap of kudu hide. The village watched him go, some praying, some shaking their heads. Kwe stood with her sons, her hands tight around their shoulders. I whispered a prayer to the ancestors, asking them to guide his steps. Gao was a 3-day walk through scorching sands and thorny valleys, with jackals and hyenas prowling at night. We didn't know if he had returned. On the 4th day, I was grinding mongongo nuts when Shui shouted, He's back! We rushed to the village edge, and there was Cow, his face sunburned, his eyes different, calmer, like a still water hole. He carried a springbok over his shoulder, its blood staining his chest. The children cheered, and Kwe ran to him, tears falling. But Cow didn't smile. He set the springbok down and called for N.A. The village gathered, the air thick with curiosity. I went to Gao, Cow began, his voice steady but heavy. The journey was hard. The sun burned my skin and the nights were cold. On the 2nd day, I found a water hole, but it was guarded by a lion. I waited hidden until it left, remembering my father's lessons about patience. When I reached Gao, I climbed to the cave with the Elam painting. The air felt alive, like eyes watching me. He paused, swallowing. I knelt and placed the arrowhead on a stone. I spoke to the spirits, saying I was sorry for taking the kudu, for thinking I was above the land. I offered my best arrow, one I carved myself, and left it there. As I walked away, I heard a sound, like laughter, but not cruel. The next morning, this springbok crossed my path, standing still, as if waiting for my arrow. N.A. nodded, her eyes bright. The spirits have accepted your offering, she said, but your work isn't done. You must honor the land every day, not just with words, but with your hands. Cow bowed his head. I know. I want to teach my sons to hunt with respect, to listen to the land, not to chase glory like I did. That night, we feasted on the springbok, roasting it over the fire. The meat was tender, and the children laughed, their bellies full. Cow sat with Kwe, his arm around her, something I hadn't seen in years. He spoke little, but when he did, it was to ask we about arrow making or to tell now how to spot a kudu's trail. I watched from my corner, my heart warm. The village felt whole again, like a cracked gourd mended with care. In the weeks that followed, Cow changed. He hunted with we, sharing every kill with the village. He took Now and Gami to gather wood, teaching them the names of plants and the stories of the stars. He even helped N.I. collect herbs, listening to her talk of the spirits. One evening, he came to my hut with a gift, a small basket woven from grass, filled with mongongo nuts. For your stories, ex-coon, he said. They kept me company on the walk to Gao. I smiled, seeing the boy I once knew in the man he become. But the story doesn't end there. A moon later, during the rain season, Cow led a group of hunters to a new waterhole he'd found near Gao, not on the sacred hill, but close enough to honor it. They returned with two kudu, enough to feed Sumkwe for days. The elders called it a blessing, a sign the spirits trusted Cow again. I saw him carve a new arrowhead, not for hunting, but to leave at Gao as thanks. He didn't boast, didn't need to. His hands, once restless, now work for the village. I'm old now, and my eyes grow dim, but I'll never forget Nuo Cow's journey. It wasn't just about an arrowhead or a hunt. It was about a man who faced his shame, walked through fire, and came back to us. Not perfect, but trying. The Kalahari teaches us that nothing is wasted, not even a broken heart, if you offer it to the land with truth. And that, my friends, is the story of the arrow that found its way